Meeting go to order. It's 5:35. We're in the Brownsville Independent School District Bond Oversight Committee. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Let's go ahead and start with the right. Mr. Villarreal.
JP Villarreal. Ruben Gallegos. Good afternoon. My name is Ernesto de Leon.
I'm Julian Peña. I'm sitting down for Mr. Bush.
Betsy Price.
Reynaldo Garcia.
Irene Gully.
Gilbert Sandoval.
Daniel Peña.
Herman Otis Powers.
First thing on the agenda, Cesar.
Thank you. The first item will be the presentation of the Career and Technology curriculum at the Veterans Memorial High School. Ms. Meal and Mr. Reyes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to share additional information about our school. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Chavez. He is our Career and Technology lead teacher, and he is working also with Mr. Reyes, who is with our Career and Technology department, our director, and they will be going through the plans for the architecture and construction magnet, and I'll turn it over to them. Thank you.
Good evening. I just wanted to share that we're glad that you all are looking into what's going on at that high school, and we appreciate all the comments that we can get from you all as well. I know that you all did a walkthrough. I would like to let Dr. Chavez go ahead and kind of take the lead on the presentation today, and I'll be available if you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Again, good evening. My name is Juan Chavez. I will be the Career and Technical Education lead teacher at Veterans Memorial High School, overseeing the magnet programs there as well. And having said that, let us begin going over our program of study very briefly. We have a total of 7 programs of study, starting with the architectural design, going down the line, and ending up with a welding program of study. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and give you a layout of the room so you guys can have a better idea of what equipment is going to be in place in those working labs. And you'll be able to see that we have, based on recommendations from community members, from also from UTB, from AmFELS, and a couple of people that are sales reps that are pretty much professionals in the area of expertise in reference to welding equipment, in reference to construction and HVAC, plumbing and piping. So the first lab that we have there is composed of 2 programs of study that will be sharing that particular classroom. It has enough space to hold those 2 programs, one of them being the architectural design and the second one being the interior design. Now, if you're wondering here, we're having our students start, of course, as freshmen, taking the principles of architecture and construction for 6 of the 7 programs of study that we have. That will be the first course that they will be taking as freshmen. Then they will be moving on to the second course, being the architectural design at the sophomore level. They would be then moving on to the advanced architectural design, and finally ending up with the practicum, which would be, they'll be afforded the opportunity to go out to the community and be able to go and shadow professionals in that area, particular area. With the interior design, the same thing, principles of architecture and construction at the 9th grade level, going on to the interior design, advanced interior design, and ending up with a practicum. This is the equipment that we'll be having in place in that particular classroom, and it's noted down in there. It says T138, the architectural design and interior design work lab. We have featuring here the drafting table, a plotter, the computer system, and the software that will be in place for both the interior design and the architectural design. This is what the layout would look like after the equipment goes into place. What we went ahead and did, we did a little schematics, a little floor plan to show you there the way the computers are going to be set up. and the way the location of all the equipment in that place. Moving on to the HVAC and refrigeration technology. Again, the first course will be the same for all of them, so I'm not going to be repeating it, but it moves over to construction technology as the second course at the sophomore level. Moving on to 11th grade, they'll be taking the HVAC refrigeration technology that's more specialized for that particular area, and then moving on to the advanced HVAC. And that is the equipment that will be putting in place. In a couple of the areas where you're looking at the training systems, and some of them are going to be mock-ups, so the students can have an opportunity to experience the real thing. This will be the layout for T112, which is the HVAC and refrigeration lab. In this lab, you can see that you have, pretty much everything laid out. It gives you a pretty good idea of the equipment, where the equipment will be. We've taken every safety, everything that involves safety into consideration, and we make sure that everything is going to be set in a place where the students are going to have enough elbow room, enough. It's going to be ADA compliant, put it that way. The welding, this is one of the courses. One of the programs of study that does not have the principles of architecture and construction technology as the first course. This is the principles of manufacturing will be offered at the 9th grade level, moving on to the welding, and then the advanced welding, finally going over to a practicum. The welding equipment that will be putting into place here is what you see up there. Now notice we're using the big items, as we know that there are a lot of tools that, I would have filled up pretty much the whole slide there with all the equipment, but basically focusing on what we have up there, that'll be the items that will be out in the open, in the Bay Area. Once the equipment is in place, you can see the schematics to the right, and then that's pretty much how it would look. All the rooms, just give you an idea, all the rooms are 56 feet, 8 inches by 46 and 6 inches. Construction technology, same course at the 9th grade level. Moving over on to construction technology at the sophomore level, then the advanced, and then finally finish up with a practicum at the senior level. The equipment that we'll be putting in place, if you see to your far upper left-hand corner, you'll see one of the state-of-the-art band saws. And what is so special about that saw, and I just want to point that out, it avoids people cutting fingers and cutting their hands, and it stops automatically. It's got a sensor, so that to us is it was a big plus to have and included in our work area for that particular reason. That's what the floor plan looks like, with all the equipment in place, everything taken into account. Ending with the electrical and the piping and plumbing. Same course at 9th grade level for both. Same course offered at the sophomore level. More specialized at the junior level, the electrical technology and the piping and plumbing for both programs of study. And then ending up with the advanced electrical technology or advanced piping and plumbing, depending on which program of study the students choose. This is the equipment that we're setting up. We have trainers for the students so they can be able to experience the actual wiring before they actually go and create their own mocks in place. We, of course, voltmeters, ammeters, and your DC voltmeters as well are going to be in place. What the layout looks like, that's what it looks like right there. We've established ourselves, being that this particular work area will be shared by plumbing and electrical. It really complements each other because they both deal with construction, and while one will be working on a project, the other one can be doing the wiring or fabricating the equipment. On the opposite end, we have the construction technology, which is another Bay Area. Through the double doors, they get to share the equipment and get to be able, they can pretty much create projects, helping each other and assisting and collaborating. Now, this is one of the things that I do want to point out, and if I may, I'd like to thank Mr. Peña for pointing this out to us. There are several safety considerations that were, of course, in place, and as we did a lot of walkthroughs with several people from the community and experts on the field, electrical distribution The perimeter receptacles are available. We have 110 and 220 voltage in all of the areas that we have in place. There are also electrical grids, which are also there. They're flexible. If we need to move them because they're not being utilized, we can certainly do that. Taking into account the fumes, the air contaminants, there is a welding filtration system. Pretty much I want to say there are two on each side of that welding bay. And then the sawdust collection systems that I believe maybe perhaps when some of you had an opportunity to go out there, they were not in place at that time. But now they are there. So that is a plus for us. So we're seeing that we have that in place already. So that's wonderful. Now, keeping in mind also noise hazards, individual hearing protection that we're going to, of course, have for that. We're also considering trying to get soundproof material on walls to be added and using that as a way to also illustrate the safety precautions, using it for signage purposes. Also, the compressors for the two bay areas, they're going to be in the exterior storage to avoid that extra noise in there. So, yeah, we've taken that into account as well. Continuing on with the flammable gases, they, of course, the students being welding, they will be taking that we have taken that into account. Exterior manifold system mounted in open area storage. And the outside, we need the gases to be piped to the workstations. Security cylinders in open storage area. This is one of the main concerns that perhaps, if we would not have had the going out there and doing several other walkthroughs, we had not come across, and we did, the fact that eyewash stations need to be installed in each of the labs. That brings us to pretty much the meat of this presentation, which is a request for change order. So we're asking, with the money that's available, the installation of the eyewash stations in all of the labs, because they're not in place. Compressed air piping to multiple points to be considered in all the labs. The construction lab, for example, that we're going to have the compressor and the exterior storage, and also the welding lab. The compressor will be also in the exterior storage, but we need the piping in place. And so we're asking that from you. And installing also a metal grating with an entrance for the exterior work area for all the labs so that we can have that place secured. The installation of the manifold system for the welding lab in the exterior work area. And finally, the storage for cylinders within the exterior work area. That's very important so that the students cannot have, access to the gases or to the cylinders in place. And pretty much, in a nutshell, that really concludes the presentation that we have for you guys this evening.
How about a paint booth? Have you considered a paint booth for the construction?
No, we have not, sir. We have not. In fact, because when we developed the schematics,
okay,
I was trying to decide, do we need 2 bandsaws, for example? Do we need 2 or 3 drill presses? And it is our hope, and it's one of my responsibilities to grow that program. And with the assistance that I have, I know that's going to happen. So to keep that in mind, perhaps if we can do that on the outside and have an area that is all in the open, maybe perhaps we can certainly consider that. That's something, I'm sure that's something that we can do it, and it probably will be a mobile, maybe a table or an area with a compressed air guns that you can actually spray on the outside instead of being inside or indoors.
Well, thank you very much for your change orders. I think this was great. I think you saw all this that's being needed, and
yes,
you're seeing that that we have. I think we have the money, Cesar, for all this, right? And you said we had all the money for this. Having all this install these areas and these change orders that he just proposed.
Well, I have talked to Mr. Reyes a little bit about these items. We're going to go and detail this a little bit more. He's going to give me some sketches, and then I'll go back through the architects and the contractors, come back with quotes, and send those costs to the committee here, and then, the change orders that are approved will go to the board and get the final approval.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Dr. Chavez, based on your own personal experience, are we going to be 100% in compliance? That's number one, security is for the kids. That's number one. By having that, did you ask for an outside expert? And I know you mentioned, that you got some of the people from the outside the community as well, and I know Mr. Peña went as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we did. In fact, Amfels, one of the main supervisors, that is actually the head person in charge of the welding department, went out there, and he was the one that was pretty much keeping his eyes open and informing us of the, safety considerations for one, and bringing up points such as especially for the gas handling.
Certainly.
That was one of the main concerns that we had.
Excellent.
So, as of right now, I could tell you that yes, for the most part, everything was taken into account, and we did, as I mentioned earlier, we did several walkthroughs with different people from the community. They were very helpful.
And
So-
that's what we want to hear, and we appreciate in an excellent presentation, whatever we need to do the change. And number one, like I said before, number one is the security for the kids.
Absolutely,
That's on behalf of this committee as
Thank you
well.
very much for your time, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Doctor. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Next is the presentation of the bond projects. Cesar?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Peña. The first item, I would like, before I start the normal PowerPoint presentation, we have Mr. Rudy Gomez, the architect for Gomez Design, that's involved in the high school. He's going to do a presentation on a concern that I guess we all have on the second floor rating. And they're prepared to show us, I think it's 3 options for your consideration. And if you select one now, or maybe there's a couple we want to see the cost, we can certainly do that after we look at the 3 options that are going.
Thank you very much for your time. The question comes into, the question is the height of the railing. The railing by code has to be 42 inches. It is already 48 inches, so we're taller than what's required by code. The concern, obviously, when we reviewed it with the administration when we were designing, the question about meeting code obviously was there, and so we answered that. Upon the visual impact, well, there's some question there. But this is really a very similar situation to Rivera at its second floor in the walking area. Now, one of the things that we can do not to lessen the visual impact is to put a trellis, a guardrail underneath, so that obviously if there is objects thrown or something, etc., that we can catch them. And this is what this option shows. I think there's also an elevation that you have. It's trellis work, so it's partially structural, but at least it's not going to diminish the space in its entirety. The second option is putting a partition that goes partially up and has vision panels through it. This will obviously block down the visual impact, but here again, this is an option. There's a certain size by window, I think it's 1232 square inches that it cannot exceed. The window opening itself, it does not go this one does not go all the way up to the ceiling, so that there is light that still is transferred across. And the third option is to take the ceiling all the way up. This is here again, there will be certainly a lessening of the visual impact when you have the wall goes all the way up. This was requested, so we're providing it to you, but this is not one that we would recommend.
Mr. Gomez, what would be your recommendation?
I believe
based on your expertise.
I believe that the trellis work would actually be, yes, sir. And the trellis work, the elevation of it can be, if you'll go back to that.
So the community can see it. There we go. Okay.
The trellis work, because it is trellis, light, etc., ventilation will be continually come through. We can raise it up to just below where we have the solid wall against the windows on the outside, so that it is a barrier. I mean, it's a visual barrier, so that we can raise it up as high as we can there. And I think that this would probably be your would have the least impact on it.
Okay. So.
We would, that's something that we would have to come back and propose to you. Once we get the direction from the committee, then we'll go back.
I know it's in the event there's somebody will fall. How much or the square in between?
I believe that what we've got in there, the trellis work is 12 by 16 inches.
Oh, okay.
And you know, here again, it would have to be a very deliberate act.
Right.
You know,
No, I understand.
to do that.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about avoiding deliberate acts. And that's why we're talking about this. Kids of that age, like force play, that type of thing. So my question to follow up, his question is, load bearing, how solid is that trellis?
Oh, no, there's structure on both sides. It would be a structural element. Yeah, it's a structural element.
Ms. O'Meal, that's your school. But we want to hear your feedback.
Sir, this would, I think, would be an excellent choice because it would serve as a visual barrier to kids.
Okay.
Should a horse playing, you know, not that we're going to have people keeping an eye on our kids all the time, but it is a visual barrier that, you know, there's something there, God forbid,
Right.
that would, you know, contain them should anything happen. And at the same time, it will allow that incredible view, you know, between
You're
one
right.
building and the other, which is just absolutely breathtaking. We went to walk the building today, and looking at even, you know, to limit it, or it is a narrow passageway, but it's really perfect because kids have the opportunity to travel back and forth without congregating in big numbers. So it does limit that. It does allow for more disciplined, you know, movement with kids. So again, this is what we were
Recommendation.
thinking about doing, or hoping that this would be the case.
One of the things that the higher that you raise it, the flatter the plane, the more solid it appears from that view. I mean, we've all seen, you know, when you walk across a grading and sit there, you look down. But when you walk across it flat, and I think that will diminish that aspect of having somebody throw something over or that type of thing. It appears solid, but it's not.
Cesar?
Personally, I think that's a good idea in the sense that it doesn't obstruct the view also. If everybody's in agreement, we can go ahead, we can go back to the contractors, and we can come back next meeting and have a cost proposal for the committee to look at.
Anybody else? Any recommendation? Mr. Leon?
What is the height from the top of the that wall? No,
It's 48 inches.
down?
Oh, down?
Where you're going with the other deal?
Well, we can, what we want to do is do it, this is just a graphic example. One of the things is we want to raise it as high as possible.
Eventually, if you put it almost very close to the, people just going to be trying to throw things and then cross and try to retrieve it. If you put it to where they can just come back and climb back. That's just what I'm saying.
But the opening is 12 by 16, any large object that's going to go through. Should go through.
Cesar, would this help, you know, the area for the wobbling area as you go up, you know, the stairs? Did you check that area? The wobbling area as you go upstairs?
I have not been to the high school
Okay.
since when I talked yesterday. We can look at that too.
Okay,
I'll check that with the contractor.
okay. Oh, thank you.
Cesar, one more question. We have cameras. I know, how many cameras do we have? I know we went the highest thing.
We have a total of 66 cameras
Okay.
inside and outside the high school, basically half and half. We have cameras on all the corridors, first floor, second floor.
Close to me.
There's cameras that would watch if anybody tries to turn anything over or do anything. We will have the cameras watching all through the school.
In,
Security is there, 100%.
I think you'll have somebody, security, right?
Okay.
You'll have somebody, at least one person all the time.
if I may, one of the things that we did over at the detention center was that besides the security camera, there was a monitor, so that just walking by, you could see yourself, knowing that somebody was watching you. And having a couple of monitors in there will do wonders for security.
Also, in the same vein as that, what about an alarm system that would alert the staff there's somebody putting weight on that particular?
We could put a motion sensor on there.
Because the cameras can catch it, but then if you hear an alarm, it's going to alert. They know it's going to ring a bell or a siren or something. They're not going to do it.
Anything, I mean, depending, we've all seen the laser lights that come across, you break the laser light and the alarm comes off. I mean, if that's what you wish, then we can certainly look into that.
I don't know, it's something to think about.
It's, once the kids would, in that particular, once the kids find out that they do it, they'll walk by and just break the beam.
Temptations.
That's why I think the cameras with the monitors would be, you know, it'd go a long way.
I know there's going to be some assistant principals running the corners every side set, if I could remember correctly. So that should be an asset for that area as well. So, anybody else has any recommendations, questions? Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Like I said, Cesar would, so we can recommend, so he can give us a proposal on that one, and so we can recommend to the board.
We'll have a cost proposal for you to review at our next meeting.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Yes,
Good
sir. Thank you.
presentation. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
The PowerPoint presentation, we're going to start with the Veterans Memorial, and I just wanted to show you one of our change orders in the past was for this kiosk right in the main entrance. We're starting to install that this week, and you can see the charger in the background and the railing we're just talking about right now. I also took the opportunity earlier this week to get some pictures of the career technology, since we knew we were going to discuss that, and you can see some of the electrical drops that we were talking about during the presentation. Here's one of the dust collector intakes and the dust collector duct running on the ceiling. There's another view of the ceiling side, one of the labs, workshops. This actually shows a dust collector duct going through the wall toward the outside, and I have another picture that'll show the dust collector on the outside of the building. This is one of the welding shops, and I think when we did the walkthrough, we still didn't have all the exhaust hoses installed, and they're being installed. I think we're pretty much finished with them this week. And that's the dust collector on the outside of the building. Last time, I think Dr. Garcia told me that take pictures from above the stands. We were taking pictures from the roof of the gym. This is standing on the west stands, and we're looking towards the area. On the northeast corner of the property, we're going to have the shot put and discus. As you remember, one of the things that we did was put that outside the track area to give it more room. And also right here, you can see where we're starting to work on the triple jump and the long jump. It's also, like I mentioned before, longer than the one at Sam's. That was one of the recommendations by the coaches, and it's also outside of the track area. The track area itself, we did the asphalt paving last week. We need to wait a month for it to cure before we put the all-weather surface. This is looking directly at the east bleachers, which are going to be the visitor bleachers. That's looking towards the tennis courts, and you can see a little bit of the baseball field here. There's a closer view of the tennis courts and the concession stand restroom area that we're building right now. The baseball field and softball field here in the background. Another view of the baseball field. As far as payments to the architect, Gomez Mendez Signs, we're up to 99.4% payment. And to the contractor, we're up to 93.29%. Next project is Manzano Middle School. This is a view of Manzano from across the street. You have the elementary to your back. You can see the parking lots have been paved, striped. We've got the supports for the light poles. This is looking towards the gym. See all the brick pretty much finished everywhere on the outside of the building. And then this is looking to the other side, on the east side, classroom areas. This is the back of the cafeteria. They're starting to work on the sidewalks. There's going to be our bus drop-off area. And this is the inside of the cafeteria. You can see a lot of the painting is going on right now. Above ceiling, air conditioning ducts pretty much being completed. And this is from inside the cafeteria looking out to where it's going to be the future bus drop-off area. And as I had mentioned last month, we're starting to put all the light fixtures. You can see the ceiling grids. Most of the above ceiling is all completed. Here with, as you know, with Keller and Manzano, we've been withholding payment to the architects until we have the change orders approved. And that's something we're going to talk a little bit later on the change orders. And to the contractor, we're up to 83% payment. The other project that we still have ongoing, we talked a little about last time too, is the Canales wing. And basically what we had pending there, the building itself is pretty much complete. But as you remember, we had waited to do a survey to try to alleviate some of the drainage problems that existed already at the school. You can see they're starting to work. This is International Boulevard, and this is a small detention pond that's going to be built in that area. There's some of the excavation that's going on right now. And there's some of the grading that's starting to be done on the sides of the new building. What we're going to try to do, we had talked about having this meeting at Canales, and we're going to schedule it for next month at Canales. Most of the grading and will be finished. We'll be able to hold a meeting there. And we're actually going to go to the school board on the March 23rd meeting for substantial completion too.
So it's supposed to be complete this month?
We'll have substantial completion. Probably There might still be some landscaping going on and that type of thing, but what we want to do is get approval to put in all the furniture. I think the furniture is here, it's in our warehouse, so we'll try to get all the furniture in and get a certificate of occupancy, at least even if we don't have the landscaping, get a conditional certificate of occupancy so we can start occupying the building. If we can put the furniture in towards the last part of March, start moving in April.
Okay, good. Cesar, on the high school, have you done the punch list already?
On the high school, we're probably 99% complete on punch list as far as the building itself is concerned.
Okay.
There might be a few minor items left, but that's it. On the athletic fields, we're still a ways off until we'll probably be doing a punch list sometime in May.
Okay. For the spring.
These are the payments to the architect, Mateo Real Garcia, 90%, and to the contractor, JDS Construction, 93.
Excuse me, that information, do we have it anywhere in this area?
The
Information that you presented as far as payment to the contractor, to the architect and whatnot, I don't see it anywhere here.
No, it's on the PowerPoint presentation. No, I could give you a copy if you'd like. Then
Whenever you have a chance, yeah, I'd like to have one.
I have a copies. I don't know if there's any question on the PowerPoint presentation.
So you mentioned is 99.9 complete already?
The punch list of the high school buildings?
Yes, sir. Okay. All right.
If there's no question, I'll continue with the change orders.
Does anybody has any questions? Go ahead and continue, Cesar.
There in your booklet, we actually have just one change order. That's to finalize some of the pending items that were at the elementary 142, the Miripulam, that we did just before the dedication. I know some of you were there for the dedication. And actually, these I don't know, you have that page number 1? No. And you have that in your books, page number 1. We just had some minor items. We had a fur out in one of the girls' restrooms at a column there. At the kitchen, we installed 3 power poles. The way the equipment came in, the power had to come from the ceiling. So, you know, we don't want to have just wires hanging from the ceiling, so we installed the power poles. We actually did a second dedication plaque. We have one with the original board members that approved the project, and the second one with the board members that attended the dedication. If you remember the last time we toured, there was a lot of landscaping that was recommended still to be done. We did some of that, and then we actually did some more in the library courtyard. We had the money available, so if you go now, the people that went for the dedication saw there was a lot more landscaping as you all had recommended. And the last item, we added some controls, local controls for the heaters at the gym. That's just to have local personnel able to control it. The way we had set it up initially was all be controlled from our maintenance energy management system. There's a request to have, you know, some control there, especially after hours when energy management people are out. So we went ahead and did that. So the total of these change order was $13,254. And as you'll see, we still have a balance of $42,573. Those $42,573 will be accredited back to the original contract price, and then we'll close the project.
Cesar, the last time I remember you were getting the proposals for the canopies, for the bus, for the students or the kids that would be outside waiting for the bus. Did we install the canopies outside? I know that we're getting some proposals. I remember when Oscar was here.
We did, I think, have, Martin, did we add, I think in some other change order, did we have something?
Basically, what happened, we went through the contractor, and the proposals that we got, they were excessively expensive. So we decided that we were gonna go ahead and pursue it in another way, because what they wanted was totally
Excessive.
excessive. So we thought that it would be better if we go
Another route.
and once we close the project, we will pursue that to administration. But it wasn't feasible, not feasible, it wasn't recommendable at the time of excessively expensive.
So we're gonna look into other options, but do you foresee when, Martin, this year, or, like I said, number one are the kids? For us, is number one, and that's the reason we represent the community as well. Kids are number one, and by not having a canopy, getting wet, I know the spring and summer is coming, and we understand, but winter, and I know I had mentioned this before, especially to everybody, we're going to be having some extra cash on the bond. Maybe we can go ahead and do that.
Yes, and we have talked about that.
Okay.
What we wanted to do is close the project and find
Okay.
out how much money was
Okay.
available, and then, talk to administration
Okay.
and let them know that this could be pursued through another source
Okay.
at a most reasonable price.
Okay. I know they're coming. Sounds good. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate it.
This is the only change order they have right now. Go back to the PowerPoint for a minute. This is our listing of completed projects in the bond, and we've added Keller as of last month. And obviously Pullman, we've had the dedication, the classroom wings at Egley, Palm Grove, Perez, Hudson, Villanueva, and then all our improvement projects, the fire alarms, HVAC, and the re-roofing projects. I know this is not one of the bond projects, but you're all invited Saturday the 27th of March at 10 a.m. We're going to have the dedication for the Raquel Peña Elementary School. And then in May, I don't have the exact date, we'll have the dedication for the Thomas Keller Elementary. Before we go on to the next item, I know we've been talking about change orders to Keller and Manzano. The last time, I guess, that we presented those change orders, we were negotiating on the MEP change orders with PBK Architects. We had initially talked about a 10% that they would cover of the change orders. I remember that time the committee recommended to Mr. Tapia to see if we could get a higher percentage, and PBK agreed to 15. But we still had some other change orders, not only at Keller but at Manzano. And at that time, we discussed it with Mr. Springston, and we agreed that we would try to get all the change orders together, and then have PBK come back and give us their proposal. And we have we have Mr. Eli Alvarado today with us here. We met with Mr. Springston this morning, and basically we're going to go 50-50 on the change orders. I think from our point of view, that's a very good percentage. Some of these items were left out of the drawings, and if they had been in the drawings, they would have been included in the original price. And if you look at it, you can say, well, 10-15% of that might have been now an additional cost as we're going for a change order. And my understanding is legally, that's what would be about 10 to 15. PBK can come back and offer us that we can split them 50-50. So if you have any questions, Mr. Alvarado is here too with us.
Why was they left off?
Excuse me?
Why were they left off?
I'll have Mr. Alvarado answer that.
Good evening. As Cesar mentioned, we did agree to go 50-50. I wish I had an answer for you to tell you why they were left off the drawing. Plain and simple, they were just omitted. We do our best to try to minimize any deficiencies, any errors or omissions. And for some reason, they were left off. They were, I guess the correct word would be, they weren't coordinated properly between the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. I'll give you an example. For one, we had drains and we had where they were going, but the in-between got left off, so we had to pay for the piping that was associated to bring those drains from the roof down to the ground level and then onto through our detention ponds. As I mentioned before, and as I mentioned to the board, we're going to take care of any deficiencies that we had. When I first found out about it, I came to the board and I told them that there were some issues. What the extents were, I did not know because we were still getting that information. We still needed to get that priced. And I've been reminded to date to say, hey, you stood up there and you said you were going to pay for it. And I'm still here to present to you today that although it is uncommon, especially for us, for PBK, to leave something like this off, there's really no explanation. They were just left off the drawings.
Okay, so my question is, you talk about errors and omissions, you have insurance for that. Why should the school district put up 50%?
I don't want to get into the legal aspects of it, but as Cesar mentioned before, if they were included in the original project, the district would have had to pay for them, and so legally you would have had to pay for them anyway. And I know that's not what you want to hear, and we're the ones putting you through this, and that's why we've come back and said that, you know, as part of our grief and as much as it pains us, and basically is that we've established a relationship with you and with the district for the last 6 years, and every one of our projects we've always had money come back to the district. There are some items which we've done additional services, including for Manzano, which we have not charged the district. There's been some I'm not even going to say, on several projects, which we have not asked the district for because we don't feel that that's right. That's not the way we operate. It's just a basic service.
I was under the impression that it was PBK's fault, and I stand corrected.
We are paying 100% wherever we had to go back and redesign, wherever we had to go back and reconfigure something like that. We're picking up 100% of that cost, and that's something that I told the board that we are going to do. And then there's some other items which, you know, we just basically left off or that weren't included in there, and that's what we're saying, that we've caused you all grief, and we understand that, and we don't want to, for lack of a better term, ruin our relationship, but we've worked hard to establish over the last 6 years. So we felt that it's right, and we need to do this to make it right to the district.
Cesar, these are minor items, right?
No, sir.
They're not?
No, sir.
They're major.
They're major items.
They're major items.
Major. What is the total? Do you have an estimate? I know you said 50-50, and I understand.
We started off at $800,000.
Okay.
$800,000. I think we've been down total now to $400,000. I just want to say we cut all that in half. And part of it, what's taken us so long to get back to you is that we weren't going to accept that price just because we know that we messed up and let the contractor come back and say, this is what it's going to pay, this is what it's going to cost you. We have to do our due diligence to make sure that the district is getting a good product, something that's going to last. So we went back to them, and it was more than 3 or 4 times even that we came back, and I think that we're finally at agreement. I think we're at the end now where we can say, we're going to open on time. We're going to do whatever we can to get this done. And I know that the next question that's going to follow is, now that you brought it up, when are we going to open? And we're shooting for July. We're trying to finish mid-July to have a whole month to go ahead and move furniture, get the teachers moved in, and if we can better that, we're going to better that. So that's it.
And the administration is happy, right? They have checked with the legal, and this is when Oscar was here. He was negotiating. I remember that, and I know that legal was involved as well, right, Cesar?
That's correct. Okay. And obviously now what we're going to do is go to the board on March 23rd and present this to the school board.
All right. Does anybody has any questions for Mr. Alvarez? Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Appreciate it.
Our next item, if there's no more questions, is the financial summary report. Mr. Tony Fuller, our new CFO, will do the presentation.
Mr. Fuller, congratulations on behalf of this committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pena and the committee. It's going to be exciting.
I know.
We're ready for it. We are ready for it. Anyway, basically this is a financial summary report. As of the end of February 2010, again, the same format we've been presenting for the last probably 8 or 9 months, 10 months. The major portion here is the bottom portion where we have no payment to the architect, and we had one payment, number 19, for the contractor. Any questions or? Okay. The next page is for Tom Keller Elementary School. Again, the main ones at the bottom are for Scoggins contractor. We had payment number 19, and then PBK no payment for this elementary school. Manzano Middle School, no payment to PBK Architects, and we had one payment to Scoggins for approximately $400,000. Veterans Memorial. This is just one payment for the Gomez signs, and we had one payment for Wilson Contractors. Now let me explain a little bit on this one because there are some large negative numbers. Remember back when we first started this project, and it's also the other campuses, but this really sticks out. We are looking at about, we're looking at about $9.7 million that are non-IFA qualifying costs. These are costs such as your athletic fields. These are costs of your seating above 150 seats at the auditorium, gymnasiums, and so forth. So what we've done is we've included all the cost under the contractor right now. Mr. Garza and I have already discussed trying to get some good hard numbers for the non-qualifying costs at the bottom row. Once we get those hard numbers, we'll transfer expenditures from the contractor back down to the bottom, so those numbers will net themselves out. That's why, but I do want to show you that we still do have some non-qualifying costs. And those non-qualifying costs were paid from the interest that was earned from the $135 million that was invested.
Tony, I know I have asked this question before. Roughly after the bonds, which will have in our balance close to $4 million plus, right?
Right now, we're looking at about $2.5 million as we stand now.
Okay.
Now, again, we still, from the completed projects Mr. Garza was talking about, we still have some final payments that we have not made yet.
Okay. All right.
The project's final, but we still have a few payments for final. Some of those contingencies will come back. Once we have that, we'll have a very good number. And we still have the interest that was earned for calendar year 2009.
That's good.
And we're having an arbitrage calculation right now being done, so we'll know exactly how much money we have. Okay? Any other questions on this? Again, I just wanted to point out those numbers. They are large. I just want to make sure that we understand that that bottom row will take care of those negatives. And then we have a Proposition 4, which are your wings and so forth. Again, some of these projects are complete, as Mr. Garza did have it earlier, but we just show exactly what's been expended and encumbered at to date. And the last page is just a summary of all 4 propositions. Right now, about $2.2 million. I said 2.2. Plus, we do have some interest that we will be able to use from the 2009 calendar year that's been earned. That basically is the financial report for the period ended February 2010. Are there any questions?
Yes, Mr. Power, go ahead.
Mr. Fuller, mainly just a congratulations, because I've worked with you for 10.5 years, and all those times I was on the budget committee, many of the times I was there with you hand in hand. You've always been fair and impartial and very courtesy with the board members. And I know since I think 2001, we have always received a superior rating in our finance because of our frugal ability to handle the budget. And that only comes to you, it comes to your entire staff, from the budget to finance to auditing, et cetera. But I think Mr. Springston made a fine choice, promoting somebody from within that had the credentials that worked his ways up the ranks. I've known you for over 25 years, so not just coming from 10.5 years, but I want to say thank you. And I know you and your team will always do very great for BISD.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. And you're right, it's not an I, it's a team when we talk about the financial aspects. It starts with the budget, into the accounting, into the auditing. It's the whole realm of the business section. Purchasing, payroll, warehouse, and so forth. But again, thank you, and again, thank you to the board. We want to give you all the information that you request and that you are looking for, because again, you are out there in the public helping us, making sure that we expend these funds in accordingly.
Anybody has any questions for Mr. Fuller? Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And congratulations once again.
Thank you again.
Yeah. Any old business? New business?
Yeah, I think we covered the old business with the presentations we had earlier.
Okay. Any new business?
I did put a personnel information form in your booklet. Cell phone change, address changes, email change. I just want to have the latest information. Be sure you're all getting agendas on time, and we have your home phone number, cell phone number. Be sure we can contact you before the meeting. So if you will, please fill it out.
And we'll meet the first week out of the month on a Thursday. Okay.
First Thursday of April, we'll meet at Canales. I'll give you more information before then, just to be sure where we're going to park, and we'll let you know ahead of time.
Thank you, Cesar. Public comments? Meeting to adjourn. I need a first. Mr. Powers, second? Second. All right. Well, we'll say second. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. That's bad.